Today in Bible Letty's Brunch Bunch, we're going to talk about identity. We've all had questions that we've asked ourselves from time to time. Who am I? What am I here for? What is my purpose? How do others see me? We're going to try and hash some of that out. I'll see you in a minute, my friends. Hi my friends, I'm here this morning with my cup of hot cocoa. This is actually from a mix my mama had made me. It's got a little bit, it's sugar-free, and it's got a little bit actually of like Mexican, it's like a spicy, there's a little bit of a kick. So I'm kind of snotty today, and that really helps. I don't have the Rona, so no fears there. And I've got this cup that I got for Christmas. It is from my niece. She actually is a very talented potter, and this is a gorgeous cup. You see that? It's got a little thumb holder here. She has made several pieces in my house, and I enjoy that. It is snowing here. I don't know what it looks like in your neck of the woods, but it is snowing here today. And if the videos have been kind of darker lately, I apologize. Primarily, it's because I film in my dining room, and this is usually the lightest room in the house, but it's just been so gloomy. You know, it's been cloudy, and I rely on natural light. So there is all that. So today we're going to talk about identity, and this is one that you can really get caught into rabbit trails. And I think a lot of us like to talk about ourselves. Sometimes we don't know how to share things about ourselves, but it's really a danger point. We have been talking about, this series is called Learning to Live a Beautiful Life. I hope you enjoyed last week's video. I interviewed Debbie, who had lost her son. That was such a touching, and I hope you were encouraged by it. But this week we are going to talk about identity, and we're talking about things in our lives that, you know, might change our viewpoint, how we approach different things. Living a beautiful life doesn't mean I'm hauled up in some fancy mansion with, you know, all of the pleasures that life could hold. That is not a beautiful life at all. Sometimes we have to change our point of view. In fact, all the time we have to change our point of view, and we have to start learning to enjoy the life we have. And if we're finding it difficult, there's sometimes things in our lives and in the way that we need to adjust and take care of. And one of those things is identity. And I want you to think really good and hard. You might even write it down. Who or what has basically shaped you into the person you are today? Is it adversity? Is it your parents? Is it relying on, you know, a certain set of rules or standards? Was it your education? What do you think has shaped you? I think all of us have a variety of answers from a variety of different places. Maybe you have experienced tragedy, and that has kind of roughed you up and made you shine a little brighter. Maybe your tragedy has caused you to dim some. Maybe some of you grew up in kind of toxic environments and were told that you were not lovable or loved or worth a whole lot. For me, my growing up environment was fairly healthy. Of course, they were disciplined. My parents were strict. They're pastors. You know, you can imagine that. But on the other hand, I think we were really encouraged to embrace the quirky sides of ourselves and our creativity. And a lot of times, you know, a lot of us feel forced to conform into something that someone else sees as beautiful and beneficial. So in that regard, I think I started out with a fairly healthy self-esteem. And also because my parents were very committed and dedicated Christians, their worldview, their view of themselves and of us all centered around what God said about us. And I think that's where we're going with this. So you have probably heard this sermon before, but if this is something you struggle with, or you know someone has struggled with, I want you to take some good notes today. I want you to really, really do some self-examination, because a lot of us are finding our self-worth and identity in all of the wrong places. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so why don't we feel worthy? I think there's two camps. We've got some folks who don't feel worthy. There are some of us that are absolutely self-absorbed and a little narcissistic. We feel like we are owed something for some reason. And I think we need to be somewhere in the middle, but I know personally the not feeling worthy is deep, hidden, and very toxic. And so we're going to talk about some of those things. Maybe you were abused. Maybe you've been abused by a parent or a spouse or someone close to you in your life, and it's hard for you to trust. Maybe you have been told you were worthless. Maybe you had a parent who didn't have anything good to say about you, and that's what you started to believe in your own life. Maybe your own choices. Maybe you have made some really poor choices, and now you don't trust yourself to go to the grocery store to make those good choices. But maybe there's been some choices and you're having a hard time forgiving yourself. And maybe you've been cheated on, and so therefore betrayal and your trust has been crushed. Maybe you are codependent and you find your value and worth in someone else and how someone else sees you or values you. Maybe that you have battled an illness. Now, this is something I've dealt with, and you're worn down, and you don't feel like either you've deserved what has happened to you, or it can make you become very bitter, and very, how should I say this? It is hard to see the forest from the trees. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So let's think about how you see yourself again. What is framing your worth? And a lot of us can find those things, how we feel about ourselves, caused by external sources. It's our success. What are you doing in your job field? How much money you make? If your kids are all successful? If you look or act a certain way? You find identity in your culture, or in even the color of your skin, or the height or weight of yourself. You view yourself through the lens of someone else. And I think all of us have done that to a certain extent. And so we have to be really careful, because those external influence can all change. And sometimes if we view ourselves through the lens of someone else and their viewpoint is a critical one, that can be devastating. If their viewpoint is harsh and unforgiving, that can be devastating. If we are caught up in an identity as in our job, and the job fails, or the money disappears, or all of those things, that can be devastating. So who are we getting our worth from? If it's an external place, we have to really examine that, because that is not healthy. All of those things can fade away. People come and go, and I don't believe that we need to focus on someone else's opinion about ourselves. And people are so friendly with their opinions. I am fortunate that I've not got any haters, knock on wood. The people reading this are my mama and my church ladies, maybe, and a few friends, and so it's not like I come in contact with a lot of people. However, I have experienced haters in real life. I've experienced criticism in real life. And you cannot allow those criticisms or those that hate to penetrate how you feel about yourself. For some reason, people are going to be people, their insecurities, their courses of life, their illnesses, all of the things that make them who they are, they're going to lash out. If they are those kind of people, they're going to lash out at anyone they see. So you are not an exception. You are not... I think about like even the women online who have like family vlogs, or, you know, they show themselves doing a variety of family things, and there's undoubtedly always criticism. And it's very comfortable to sit in our living rooms, sit behind a phone, and be critical of someone else's life. I can't imagine. I might think to myself, ooh, I don't know if I'd do it that way, but that's my personal opinion. It has nothing to do with the way the real world works, and I certainly am not in their shoes. So you have to consider even approaching life like that. And sometimes we just need to keep our opinions to ourselves. You don't have to tell all you know. So anyway, that's like my little soapbox for that. And equally, there are some of you and some of us and some people that you know that might be a little self-absorbed. Instead of feeling so worthless, they might feel like they're pretty great and the whole world needs to know it. You know, if you are not aware of your own narcissism, take a little look and see if that's something that God needs to deal with you about. Are you a little more self-absorbed than you need to be? Obviously, that's something you got to take to Jesus. We have to own up to our flaws. We get just so caught up in what we think of ourselves that it really just doesn't make any difference. The rest of the world probably cares less about you than you think. Okay, so what is a healthy self-esteem? Okay, and we're talking about this through the lens of a Christian. Obviously, I have a big problem with some more humanistic thoughts out there. Humans are infallible. We're messed up. You know, I certainly don't want my worth, my son's worth, or my husband's worth, or my family's worth to be built around someone else's opinion or societal rules. That is just not healthy. So we choose to have our opinion, our self-worth based around an eternal source, which is God. He's never changing. He's always the same, and it's his character. So, you know, we don't have to worry about his changing his mind about us. So think about this. Number one, you are loved. And I'm going to look up this verse. It's Romans 5:8. Excuse me, I have such a snotty nose today. Romans 5:8. I've got it on my phone. I've got it on my phone so I can see it. Romans. Come on. You find you get impatient with technology the longer you have it. I mean, do you remember the old download back in the day when you download something, you'd wait for something and it just like, now we are so impatient, and I can't see this. Okay, Romans 5:8. And this is the ESV, English Standard Version. Says, but God shows his love for us that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. I mean, he died for us. Jesus died for us. I think that shows pretty big love. He loves you not for who you are or what you can do. He just loves you. He loves you enough to die for you. His character is love. That doesn't change. Talks about love never fails. That's God's love. It never ever fails. So you are loved. Okay? The next one is you are valuable, and you don't have to have a new pair of Jimmy Choos to have him prove that to you. Now trust me, I like to do the girly things. Oops. I like makeup and jewelry, and I like to look cute. But I also understand about myself that I like what I like. I hope that my value, when all is said and done, isn't wrapped up in what I have in my closet or, you know, on my feet. For one thing, those Walmart ballerina flats won't get you very far. But you are valuable with nothing. You could have absolutely nothing, and you are worth more than all the riches in the world. So it says that in 1 Corinthians 6:20, for you were bought with a price, so glorify God in your body. You were bought with a price. God gave his only son to die on the cross for you. That is such value. So when you're feeling poorly about yourself, when you're worried about another's opinion, you have to understand that you have been bought with a price and that you are valuable. Okay. You were accepted and declared innocent. So let's look at John 1 and 1:12. It says, when it comes up, but to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. If you've accepted him, if you have received him, you are a child of God. And let me tell you, it doesn't make any difference what you've done in your life, how worthless you think you are. If you were told you were worthless, if you were told you never amount to nothing, that is just wrong. That's a lie from the pit of hell. You are a child of God, and he has accepted you into his family. Okay, you are precious. Now, I love this verse. This is one of my favorite ones. Psalms 139, 13 through 18. I know you've heard this one too, and it's beautiful. And it's taken a minute to come up. It is really taking a minute to come up. What's wrong with it? You think, oh, here it comes. Nope. Psalm 138, 139, let me do 138. When, did I write that down wrong? I must have written it down wrong. Psalm. I have to really get that one out of there. Let's just look at this. Okay. Okay. For this is Psalm. I don't know why my phone app, my Uverse app didn't show this. For you formed my inner parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. And think about how absolutely wonderful that is. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. If I would count them, they were more than the sand. I wake and I'm still with you. He knew you. He's known you before time. He knows you. He knows every part about you, and you are precious to him. It's very reassuring to me that when I don't know how I feel about something, or if I don't know how I feel about myself, I know how God feels about me. He loves me. And the things that happen to my life are not because he's trying to get me. He's not trying to punish me. There's purpose in them. And I think receiving and believing those things about yourself, it helps you look at the people, the naysayers in your life, or the criticisms or the doubts that you have about yourself and your purpose in the world. Those make it not as significant when these are the things you think about. He knows you. He formed you in the womb. He knitted you. He knows every thought. And that's a little daunting and crazy. So what does this mean though? How practically can we apply this to our life? When you, especially if you've had a pretty tough day and you have all the voices in your head and all the voices around you telling yourself that you're worthless, and it's pretty hard to live a beautiful life if you feel that you're worthless. I want you to go to these scriptures and I want you to see how God sees you. Remember, these are eternal things. These are things that really matter. People's opinions, those external things, those things fade away. They'll move on to somebody else they hate some more, or talk ugly about some more. You can't let those things define you. You have to be defined in His Word with Him. You need to be defined and take heart in what He says about you. And those are what He says about you. So I hope you're encouraged today. And think about these things this week, and also do your best to encourage someone else, especially if you know they are struggling in this area of their lives, if it's something they need to be encouraged with God's Word. Sometimes we get into this mindset that we have to take people down a notch or two, and I don't believe that's true. I think we need to be edifying. We need to let our mouth speak pleasing things and kindness to other folks. So I hope you're encouraged by that. I hope that you take time this week and really encourage yourself in the things of the Lord. I hope He's able to really reach down and start mending those broken places, those traumatized places that other people have inflicted upon you, or you've inflicted upon yourself. And show kindness to other people. Make sure that you let other people know how much you love them and appreciate them, and that God loves them and God appreciates them. They are valuable, precious. They are chosen. And I hope you also take time to enjoy beautiful things, do beautiful things, hug your people, breathe in, breathe out. We're all doing just fine. I'll see you next time, my friends.